The popular investing app Freetrade is no longer free. Well, kinda. They've had a major revamp of their pricing structure, which will impact you in a big way. What? Today, we're going to break down that pricing structure, discuss what's actually happening with Freetrade, and I'll compare them to other brokers to help you decide if they're still the right investment broker for you. On this channel, I try to help you make more money and have more freedom to do the things you love while documenting my entire journey right up to 1 million. If that sounds good, then click that subscribe button. If not, that's fine. Just sit back and enjoy the video. Now, these price changes are the latest in a series of events which haven't looked great for Freetrade. They're on their mission to get everyone investing by making it simpler and more affordable. But it's clear that the mission might not always be so simple. In February, they faced a second supervisory notice from the FCA, which forced them to remove all paid-for, sponsored influencer advertisements and posts across social media within 24 hours. This was due to a TikToker they partnered with who had over 64,000 followers, who claimed she paid off £14,000 in debt in just 8 weeks.
Credit card debt, credit card debt, credit card debt.
The FCA felt this may lead viewers to believe that they invest with Freetrade, then they can clear their debt by doing so, encouraging them to invest. And of course, nothing with investing is guaranteed. This caused a lot of negative backlash against the company, from YouTubers in particular who relied on them as a source of income. And it's brought a lot of regulation when it comes to working with sponsors. In March, they introduced securities lending, where they will loan out your shares in order to make more money, which scared people half to death, which has now been postponed. And in April, people were questioning why the company's roadmap had disappeared. Now, with us entering a bear market where people just spend less money and invest less, which will drive companies' revenues and profits down, you'd think this wasn't good. But none of this seems to be scaring away investors. They've just raised an additional 30 million at their 650 million valuation from existing investors and new investors, including the Phoenix, an investment manager with over 100 billion in assets. Their registered users surpassed 1.3 million in the UK alone. Revenue for the calendar year 2021 increased over 6 times to 15.1 million. The AUA surpassed 1 billion and trading volumes for the year exceeded 3.7 billion. This 30 million is actually added as debt, which at some point in the future will be paid back as equity, likely in an upcoming funding round. The advantage for investors is that they get in at the same valuation, and for Freetrade, it gets more money into the business without having a detrimental effect on the valuation. When it converts in the future, there will be a dilution from this convertible round, and then the share price will be affected, which I'm pretty sure they'll be factoring in. This money has come at a good time for the company, as they're expanding into Sweden and then into the rest of Europe, as well as things like launching their Freetrade web app. It's clear that they're full steam ahead in the race to become the European Robinhood, and with a lot of competitors springing up, they really do need to put their pedal to the metal. Now, you might be watching this thinking,
why are you telling me this? Just get on with it.
Well, it's actually important that you understand the latest things going on with the company to understand why they're making these price changes before we look at them. It's quite easy to forget that Freetrade was only founded in 2016. That's around 6 years old, while someone like Hargreaves Lansdown is 41 years old. If you want cheap, you'll pretty much just have to put up with these price changes from any kind of providers following this freemium model. Okay, so let's talk about the changes. Freetrade has reworked their model into 3 plans. Before, they had 3 plans, but these are a little neater. They'll benefit some people and be worse for others. Their basic plan is their free plan. Now, I say free, bear in mind that with all of these, you will still pay a foreign exchange fee, and you will pay stamp duty that you would pay with any other provider. Their standard plan is now £4.99, which used to be £3, and their plus account is £9.99, which remains the same. If we compare the accounts side by side, you can see all 3 accounts include the general investment account. but only the standard and the plus include the ISA. The good change I do really like is that the plus now includes a free SIP, which is pretty huge as SIPs are expensive. This used to be £10 or £7 if you already had a plus account. Of course, my consideration here is I'm not sure if I'd want my ISA and my SIP with Freetrade. I quite like the diversification of different platforms for peace of mind. All account types offer commission-free trades and fractional shares, which is good. Now, this is the biggest change. The free plan now only has 1,500 plus stocks. Now, I'm not too sure on their current number of free versus plus, but I know people have had complaints that some of their holdings won't be covered in their free plan. If this is the case, you'll still hold that stock, but you won't be able to buy any more. You can still sell it though. That 1,500 includes their UK 350, the Freetrade US 500, Vanguard, iShares and Invesco ETFs, as well as AIM 100 and Europe 150. I would like to see a full list of this for a clear comparison, but I think the only way you'll really be able to find out will be to check within the app which your investments fall into. Something I'm not so happy about is this. Limit orders and stop losses are not included on the basic account. Limit orders don't matter so much, it just limits the price you pay when buying. Stop losses, however, protect people from losing too much money on their investments. In my opinion, this should be standard on any platform. I think it should even be a regulation. A good feature though on the standard plan is 1% interest on balances up to 2,000. That's the cash you hold on your account. So if you have the luxury of being able to keep 2k on your account, that's paid monthly and would be £1.66, effectively bringing the monthly cost down to £3.33 per month. On the Plus account, you get 3% on 4,000, which is what I do. £120 per year, £10 per month, which effectively makes the Plus account free, which is well worth considering. The downside of these though is if you want to be fully invested, you could be losing out on potential returns on that money. Personally, I always like to keep some cash on hand, so it's not an issue for me. You get basic customer support with standard and basic, which I don't really think is good enough. There's priority support with Plus. I would like to see phone support added. You really do need the Plus if customer service matters to you. I think it's super important. They're adding in analyst ratings to entice people to use Plus, which is good, but I think you'd be far better off with something like Simply Wall Street for this. Lightyear, on the other hand, are building their platform more around analytics. You also get access to Freetrade Web, which is currently in beta. I'm not sure if this will branch out when it's launched fully. Personally, I don't think the web app or the iPad apps are very good. You probably just want to stick to the mobile app anyway. So how does this compare to other platforms now? And should you use someone else? Well, luckily I've spent weeks comparing other platforms, so you don't have to. First up, a general investment account. Now, because of the limited amount of stocks, your best alternative is going to be Lightyear, which is at nearly double the amount of stocks and has no FX fee. So it's a much cheaper way to buy US shares. They haven't launched their ISA yet, but it's on their roadmap. And I think Freetrade might be in trouble when they do. Even if you don't want to use them, I'd recommend just getting an account and taking a look around. I have a link which will actually get you $10 for signing up. I'll pop that in the description. Now, the tricky part is an ISA. The £5 price point is a surprising one because it actually pushes a monthly fee above AJ Bell and Hargreaves Lansdown. I wouldn't worry about this too much because honestly, I think if you stick with Freetrade, you should be aiming for a Plus account anyway, purely because of the customer support and the increased interest, which could give you a Plus account for free. If I had to pick an alternative, honestly, I'd recommend Hargreaves Lansdown. A lower monthly fee, pretty much every stock and fund you can ever think of, and their customer support is impeccable. Their downside is their share dealing fee is more expensive at $11.95. Weirdly, I actually like it because I think it encourages people to trade less and hold positions for years. You can utilize things like regular investing, where you can top up for a charge of £1.50 per time for stocks and ETFs. Or for funds, it's free. I'll have a full review of them coming out in the next couple of weeks, as I do feel they are very misrepresented. I've been a customer of theirs for over 12 years now and have had no real complaints. You've also got the peace of mind that they aren't going to go anywhere. The freemium model is risky and we don't know what the future holds. Your investments would be protected if they go bust, but it will also be an inconvenience trying to recover the positions and the cash on account. And this is where the freemium model is so clever, because you can attract users on scale. A prime example of this was a game called Kart Rider, a game that was so popular that in the first year 12 million Koreans had played it. The game involved racing cartoon-like virtual cars around a racetrack against other players. The game was free to play, but in the run-up to Christmas in 2007, they decided to allow users to buy Santa hats. They put them on sale for $1, and within a week, over 1 million users bought one. Over $1 million in 1 week. Now imagine how many people hold ISA accounts. Let's be conservative and say 100,000. Times that by an increase of £2, that's an extra 200,000 per month. I actually think these increases in price are a good thing. While I don't completely agree with what's included in each tier, they do need to be charging money. The company needs to be profitable and to generate an income to keep things going. Just burning through seed money in order to gain more and more users isn't sustainable. So if these increased costs allow them to stay afloat and keep going and improve their customer service, it's a good thing. Being an early stage company, these changes are quite normal. Unfortunately, they've just taken the approach of getting 1 million users before being fully profitable and established. They are still in a growth stage as such, so it comes across like they're playing with fire. For me, I am somewhat stuck with Freetrade due to my locked Russian ETF, although HL have offered to explore moving it across for me. The truth is though, if you have any doubts about Freetrade, switching to something like HL is a good idea. If you are only planning on investing a few £100 and not taking it seriously, then stick to Freetrade. But if you're like me and you're building towards a large portfolio, which will be your retirement, in which case I'd rather pay for quality. Sometimes cheaper is better, but when it comes to the most important financial aspects of my life, service and reliability trumps fees for me. In my previous 10 years of being with HL, the fees never bothered me whatsoever. I think people get way too caught up in them. I bought, held for the long term, and then paid a small monthly management fee. I barely sell stocks as I have a long-term mindset. But how about you? Let me know what you think about these changes down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I just wanna see the light.